Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. So frequently you guys send me suggestions for watches to check out, and I try to look at each and every one of those. Now a bit ago, I've had this video scripted for a while. There was a watch that someone out there suggested that I look at on Amazon. I don't recall exactly what it was, because, yeah, it's been a little while. But I went there and I was searching for the brand, and there was a typo in my search. I misspelled the brand's name, and the results that came back on Amazon were pretty amazing. So tonight we're going to look at some of the really weird watches that came up in my botched Amazon search. So let us begin. So the first watch that came up was this one. This is the Illamite melting automatic watches. And yeah, they pretty much look like if you took a Rolex and melted it down and it became all misshapen. It's kind of like a dive watch version of the Crash. And this one definitely has a fixed bezel. But it also has a Cyclops. Yeah, and that bezel is pretty wild. How it gets wider in spots and narrower in other parts. This is a crazy looking watch. The case is 45 millimeters wide, and they're automatic watches with Miyota movements in them. However, they have dress watch water resistance, so 30 meters. But they are affordable at $160. I'm not sure why they show the ocean when they're pointing out that it has 30 meters of water resistance. It'd be pretty wild to see someone wearing one of these. I wonder how many people actually buy these. Very interesting concept. The next watch that came up is a digital Nautilus watch of sorts. These are the Reginald Men's Multifunction Electric. And they're super affordable at about $27. I feel like that display probably isn't as legible as it looks in the listing. It is a negative display, but for that price, I'm guessing it's not terribly bright like it appears to be. And surely the bracelet and case just feel like a $27 watch. But in the photos, it looks great. That case design and bracelet look amazing in the pictures. And apparently there are different colors to the screen, to the display. There's a black and white one and one that has green numbers on it. It looks great in the wrist shot that's in the listing as well. But yeah, these are dirt cheap, so probably not great. And they also have 30 meters of water resistance. And it sounds like they have kind of just a standard LCD module in them. You can flip it from 12 to 24 hours, and they have some of the other features that you find in any Casio or Timex for the most part. I mean, these could be kind of cool if they were quality watches and not just a pocket change timepiece. I looked a couple times at the listing, but didn't notice anything about the case size. I may have overlooked it, but I'm not sure exactly how large these are. In the wrist shot, it doesn't look terribly big. It looks pretty well proportioned. But if you want to blow $27 on an LCD Nautilus, maybe one of these. Another result was for a wooden watch, and this one's done in a multitude of colors, and it retails for about $34. I mean, wooden watches are kind of weird in general, but this one with all of those colors, and the colors carry over into the dial from the case, pretty crazy looking. I wonder how much this watch would swell up if you kind of soaked it in water. The case size on these is 43 millimeters, and apparently they're 100% handmade for $34. and the wood that was used for it was bamboo. And since it's made out of wood and there's no mention of water resistance anywhere that I can find, probably ought to keep these out of the water. But if you like the natural look of nature and you have $30-some in your pocket, you could get one of these colorful wooden watches on Amazon. By the way, links to all of these watches will be in the show notes below. Those are affiliate links, so if you do buy one, it does help the channel. Then a kind of tech-looking Feice. How do you pronounce this watch brand?
Feice. Feice.
Oh, that's right. Feice. Maybe? I'll go with that. Thank you, howtopronounce.com. So yes, another watch that came up was this Feice watch. All technical looking, kind of resembles a diesel watch. But I thought that dial was kind of crazy. The dual dial, one of them appears to be a seconds wheel that probably doesn't really have anything to do with the time display dial. I'll bet there are 2 quartz movements inside this watch. Although this one does retail for $80, so it might be sort of the next level up from all the watches we've looked at so far. This is a rectangular watch that is wide and short. The case width is 47 millimeters. And I'm starting to see a trend here. These also have 30 meters of water resistance. I mean, this is definitely a design you don't see every day. Not really my style personally, but they do look super sci-fi when they're on the wrist. Another Feice watch showed up, but this one actually looks really cool. I love that design. It looks like a mid-century alarm clock radio, and they really leaned into that aesthetic if you look at the hour indicators in the top dial. I mean, this watch has 3 different watch faces on it, and looking at the picture, you can set each of them to a different time zone if you want to. So the module has 4 buttons to it down on the bottom, and there's 2 crowns, one for the bottom analog dial and one for the top one. These retail for $80, so they might actually be decent, but it's a square watch and it is 50 millimeters wide and 50 millimeters tall. And look at how thick they are. Those are chunky, as evidenced in the wrist shot on this listing. But dimensions aside, I really like the design of these watches. The brown leather strap goes perfectly with the aesthetic of this watch and really enhances sort of that vintage look it has. Not really vintage watch, but vintage design in general. They have 30 meters of water resistance and mineral crystals. And I'm guessing that when you open this watch up, you will probably find the LCD module, and I'm guessing 2 quartz movements in there. So this watch would take 3 batteries. But yeah, they do look kind of neat. The next watch that showed up in the search results is actually pretty cool. It's a $42 watch, the Albert Einstein Relativity Watch. But this is from a very interesting brand. It's not put out by a watch brand. It was created by the Unemployed Philosophers Guild. That makes basically novelty items, souvenir type stuff, coffee mugs and whatnot. But I do like the fun look of this watch, and it actually doesn't have a giant case, so these are pretty small at 33 millimeters. This is a 2-hander quartz watch, and there is no mention of water resistance or what the crystal is made of. I'm guessing maybe mineral and probably 30 meters. They're very whimsical looking. I like the dial design on these. And the next watch that showed up in my search results reminds me a lot of one of my favorite companies that no longer exists, Project's Watches. These are from the Shanky store, and they're the Love Me Tender, Love Me Home watches. Interesting name. The hours are displayed in a pizza slice shaped window, and the minute's hand is a nice minimalist Bauhaus style hand. The colorway is pretty great. I like the black, white, orange of this. And the design is super fun like Project's watches were. But it's a $10 watch. So yeah, not great, probably. The case is pretty standard at 40 millimeters. They have 30 meters of water resistance, like everything else on this list. But yeah, very Project's watch looking. And one of the last watches that showed up in all of my search results was actually a pretty familiar design. I think watches.com or something along those lines have pieces like this one. It's definitely Martian looking. The bracelets on these are crazy. And according to the listing's title, these are binary watches, which makes sense from the pictures. Maybe. They all just show one side of the dial lit up. It would be good to see some other examples of time being indicated on these. And that wrist shot is weird. Everything is photoshopped and mannequin looking. I love how they picture it with a tie and cufflinks. I mean, I guess it could be a dress watch. But it's been a while since I've seen such alien-looking watches. And they retail for $20, so yeah, there's that. And according to the listing, apparently these watches are perfect for your average physicist, hacker, Trekkie, Uber geek, pro blogger. So these watches are big with bloggers. That's interesting. Or anybody who is somebody. Which hopefully is everybody. But I know what you mean. And I don't think these are for anybody who's somebody. These are $20-some watches. But they're a wild design. So there you have it. Some of the weird things that come up on Amazon when you misspell a watch brand's name. I was looking for something completely different than any of these watches. But it was fun seeing the entertaining listings that showed up. Thanks for watching.